Welcome back to my channel, Crafting with Nordy. In today's video, I'll be showing you how to make some cardstock earrings using some scrap cardstock, which we all have like tons of little random scraps, right? And you're also going to need some really thin chipboard, some glue. I'm just using the Line Co brand glue that I always use, and I'll leave the link in the description below. You also need a paintbrush, paint pens of your choice, any color you want, or some acrylic paint. We're also going to be using the Cricut app to get our shapes for our earrings, but you definitely don't need the Cricut app to get shapes. If you have any shaped hole punches, you can use those as well. So if you're ready, we're gonna start in the Cricut app. So go ahead and open that app and we'll get started. Okay, so now we're in the Cricut app. So you're going to hit this plus sign right here on the bottom. And we're going to keep. Okay, so these are the shapes that I was just going to be kind of messing around with here. So what you're going to do to get these shapes is you're going to go to the bottom left here at the bottom where it says shapes. And just select any shape that you want. So I just did this arch right here. And then just made it to whatever size that I wanted. Okay, and we made these, I guess they're 0.92 by 1.39 inches. And to change the size is you're gonna select the shape, and then right below here where it says edit, you're gonna tap that. And then to the left, you're gonna change the width and height. So make sure you unlock that. And then it's gonna be 0.92 by, what was this one? 1.39. Okay, and you can zoom in to this as well. Go back down to shapes, and let me check my layers here real quick. Okay, I don't have the cutout here on the side. Okay. Okay, go back down to shapes, and we're just gonna get this circle. Okay, and we're gonna size this one down. And I went ahead and did something pretty small. Let's see, edit. And we're gonna make this like a 0.18 by 0.18. Let's see how big that is. Let's go smaller. So 0.05. 0.05. That's tiny. Let's do it again. 0.9. Or 0.09, I should say. That looks a lot closer. Okay. And so because that one's really small, I'm going to place this one over it so you see how you can still see it. And just kind of place it where you think it needs to go. And so this little hole here, that's what's going to cut out. I mean, if you have a tool already to make a tiny hole for that little earring ring to go through, you don't have to do this step. But if you don't have the tool, the hole punch to make this, this is basically how you're going to get that hole. So it's just going to be like that. You're going to select it together, and then you're going to hit slice. You're going to tap out of it and just move your shape, and you have your little hole right there. Now for each earring, you're going to need two, because there's going to be one for the front, two of these shapes. So you're going to two cutouts. So you're going to need one for the front and one for the back. Now for the middle part though, you're going to need that really thin chipboard. Okay, so for each earring, you're going to need 3 shapes. So 3 of these arches would make up one earring. So 2 of the arches are going to be the cardstock, the patterned cardstock. And then 1 arch is going to be just that really thin craft cardstock or chipboard. And so that's going to be the middle. Okay, so just know that when you're cutting the actual pattern cardstock, you will need 2 of these shapes for each earring. So 4 for a set of 2. So any shape that you want to use is fine. That's completely up to you. So after you do all that, you're going to go ahead and go to Make It and select everything that you need. Make sure you're connected to your Cricut. And this is how mine looks right here. So just kind of depending on how many earrings I was going to do. So this would have been, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this would have been for 2 sets of earrings, right? Because there's 8 of them. And you need 4 for each set. And so if you're going to make them all, you know, depending on the cardstock that you're choosing, or say you're using different cardstock, say you're using scrap pieces of pattern cardstock, and so you don't have these full 12 by 12 sheets, this snap mat on the bottom left corner here, what that's going to allow you to do is it's going to allow you to take a picture. I don't have that connected just yet, but it's going to allow you to take a picture of the actual mat and however you placed the cardstock on there, your scrap pieces. So if you got the scrap pieces on there all random, you'll take a picture of the mat just the way it is with the cardstock on there, the way you placed it. And then you'll take each one of these shapes and you'll place it over that area of the cardstock that you want to use. So then you don't have to be precise on the actual mat itself where you're placing the cardstock. You'll just be able to take that picture and then move the shapes over the pattern cardstock that you want, if that makes sense. And then, you know, go ahead and have it all cut out like that. So plan ahead how many you want to make. That way you're cutting the right amount out. And then when you're doing the chipboard part of it, that you could just cut it all on one board because it's all the same thing. It's just that brown chipboard. So then you're going to hit next and you're going to get these cut out, and then we'll come back and I'll show you how we start assembling these. Okay. And just a side note, make sure that for your cardstock that your Cricut is set to cardstock or cardstock plus. And that chipboard is a lot thicker, so you might need to go more than cardstock plus. So that's just something you're going to have to kind of mess around with to see. But for my Cricut, I usually just have it to cardstock or cardstock plus, and it cuts fine. Okay, so we'll be right back. Okay, so you're going to want all your cutouts. I just threw them all in a little box. And you want to get your thin chipboard. And sometimes the little holes don't clear out. So to get that little piece out, I just use this little hook. And then if you don't want to get glue on your hands, have a set of tweezers, okay? I'm using the Line Co. Natural pH adhesive glue. I have some paint pens. I'm not exactly sure where my husband got these, but I'll link them in the description below. I also have some just regular metallic acrylic paint. I've got a little jewelry kit, and I think we got this one from Michael's, but everything's going to be linked in the description below. Just more stuff that comes with the jewelry thing, you know, to help with all these little metal all the hardware that's going to go on here. Okay, so you're going to take your shape, and I don't want to get glue all over my hands, so you can either use the hook for these smaller ones and then just get a paintbrush and some glue and just get the glue all over. Not all crazy, you don't need too much. We're not trying to wrinkle up our paper, but this is cardstock that we're using too, which holds glue a little bit better, but I mean, it still will wrinkle if you get it too wet. So just a nice thin layer on there is enough. And then just take one of your cutouts and line up that hole. Okay. And have a napkin close by just in case you are going to get glue everywhere. You get it on your hands. Okay. And just press those together. And what I like to do once I get both sides glued on, I stick them under my actual mat right here that I'm using, and they just sit there and dry. That way they don't curl, and I don't have to worry about you know, them curving or warping or anything like that. So just get it the best you can, then flip that over and just do the same thing to the other side. Okay, and these actually do come out really, really cute. And when you have that really pretty cardstock, and you know, we all have those scraps left over, and we're like, what are we gonna do with them? This is great for something like that because you're just using these little tiny pieces of scraps. And I tried this out like months and months ago because, you know, I had a list of, you know, different videos I wanted to make and try out and whatnot. And things have just gotten really hectic, so I hadn't been getting my videos out once a week like I had planned. And so I was like, well, what am I gonna do? And then I forgot that I made a list of what I wanted to do. So I'm like, I need to just get on this and get it out there because I think this is a really cute idea for using up these scraps. And some of this paper is just so pretty. You don't want to pass it up, and you know, it's hard trying to figure out what to do with all these tiny little things. And with this and using the Cricut, and if you don't have a Cricut to cut out these shapes, there's always those bigger hole punches that you could use as well. And it'll be the same thing, you know, and probably if you have a bunch of different shaped hole punches would probably be better because it's probably going to be faster. But with the Cricut, it's nice that you can get, you know, pretty much any shape that you want. Okay, so once I've got this all together like that, like I said, I'm going to go ahead and put this under the mat and just let it continue drying while I do the rest of them, okay? And so that's just that small one. I'll go ahead and show you the bigger one also. So look at this hole here. When you're doing like a circle cutout here, pay attention to this area, okay? Because you want to make sure your hole's big enough for your ring, but not so big that it's like, see, this edge right here is skinnier than this edge right here. I would like that to be a little bit more balanced, so then, you know, I'm not ripping anything. But when you add the 2 other pieces of cardstock to this, it's a lot stronger area, so it shouldn't rip like so easily or anything like that. I mean, this stuff doesn't rip that easy anyways, because it's cardstock. But, you know, just something to keep in mind, just your sizing of your holes and things like that. So let's get this one all glued up. And don't worry if you have these little frayed edges. That's okay. You can always just use the glue to kind of like press them down. And if you have any that are really, you know, it's really bothering you, it's not that clean of a cut, you can always just get like a nail file or something and just lightly, you know, brush the edges a little bit. Not too crazy, because all it's going to do is probably just make it, like maybe even a little buffer block, something like that, rather than a nail file. I'd probably go with a buffer block. Or, you know, a little piece of sandpaper or something. But nothing rough. And you can just do these any shape that you want. This is just kind of a, just some shapes I tried out. But any shape that you want to do will work fine. I think the most tedious part of this is actually not this part. It's actually, for me, getting everything off the mat. You know, once it's all cut out and everything, taking everything out and making sure all the little things are taken off and the little holes are punched out. And it's actually the most tedious part is placing the shapes where I need them, especially if I'm using scrap cardstock. So in the Cricut app, when I'm putting the shapes exactly where I need them on the mat, because I'm just using these scrap pieces everywhere. And you know, that was the part that I think was the most tedious. But with that snap mat, it's not working for some reason on my iPad. It's not working properly. But with that snap mat option on there to take a picture of your mat with your cardstock already where you want it at is such a good idea, because now you just move your shapes over the cardstock that you want. It makes it so much easier and, you know, less of a headache. But for some reason mine's not working. It would not, the camera kept going really close or coming out. So I don't know, maybe there's an update or something I need to do, but it wasn't working for me. But the idea of it is great. So if it works for you, I would suggest doing that, because that's going to make that part a lot easier, because I was trying to place things exact, and then I realized that snap mat was on there, and I was like, oh, that'd be great. That's perfect. Exactly what I would need it for, right? But it didn't work. And so I don't know if it's just a glitch with the app or if it's my camera. I'm not really sure. But it wasn't working for me, and I'm not very tall, so I was like trying to stretch my arms up as high as I can to get the whole mat in the actual camera, and I couldn't. So like I couldn't stand at a normal distance and get the mat at the angle it needed to be to fit within the frame that it gives you. And so it just kept, and then it kept flipping. And so I'm like, okay, this is kind of driving me crazy. I'm like, I'm gonna have to mess with it a little bit and figure out what's going on, and then I can always do a video actually using that that option in the Cricut design space or on the Cricut app. And so you see how this is a bigger piece, so I'm using more glue, but you can see how it's like starting to warp a little bit. So we want to make sure once we get this on to put this under a flat surface, because it is going to dry pretty quick. I'm still getting this a little bit on my hands, and that's kind of annoying, but okay. So just get it lined up while it's still wet. Make sure your holes are lined up. Just fill your edges. Okay. And just press that nicely, and then stick it under your mat so it dries flat, okay? So once you got them all dried nice and flat, let me get this stuff out the way. You can go ahead and take one. Now this is one already done, and what I did was I got the metallic paint pen, and I just went over the edges like this. And you might need to go over it like twice, but that's so that you don't see that that raw edge where you sandwich that thin card chipboard. So it's kind of to cover that up. So you can use any color paint pen that you want for this. This is just something I use because I felt like it matched. It looks great. So something like that. If your edges right here, if you want like even borders, just, you know, be a little bit more careful, precise if you want to, but you don't have to. But you get the idea. So this one is already done. I did the paint on the edges, and then I let that dry. And once that was dry, I just get another brush and some Mod Podge, and I just paint over the whole thing on one side, and I let that set. And it dries really, really fast. And then I just do the other side. And you get a little bit of a paint stroke texture on here, but it doesn't look bad. actually really cute. And I really like the cardstock that was for this one. I'll leave that link in the description, but it came in the silver and this other pretty yellow color. And so this one I did the silver on the edges, and for these ones I did the gold. And it's not the kind of gold that I would have really liked, this one. You know, it's kind of got like a green undertone. I don't know. But I would have preferred like a light gold over this gold. It's a little bit too greenish to me. But it still came out really cute with these ones. And I made these little display stands. They work okay. I just did that same arch, poked 2 holes in it, and you don't even have to use the Cricut to poke the holes because these are really tiny. Any little poking tool that you have, you just want to mark it and then poke your holes through. And then I just do this piece in the back. And it's just like a 1-inch piece by, let's see, what would this be? A 1 by 2-inch piece. And then I just score it right down the middle. And then I just cut a slight angle. And then I glue one side down, and then I fold the other side, and it makes a stand, and then it will stand there. But I think I need to make it a little bit wider, so maybe 1 inch, and or maybe not make my angle too harsh. This one didn't work out that great, but this one was better. This was the other one I did, and it stands a lot better than that one. I kind of messed up on that one. So as you can see, it's just a 1 inch by 2 inch scored down the middle, glued down on one side. The angles are cut slightly. You really only need to cut the angle on one side, you know, to sit how you want it to sit. And so that's a cute little display thing that you can do as well. Okay, so once that's dried and you've Mod Podged the whole outside, you can even spray seal these if you want to. It's up to you how you want to seal them. I have tried to laminate cardstock before, like a cold laminate, and it tends to peel off after a while because there's no edges folding over or anything like that. So I'm not sure that that would actually work with this unless you've got some really good cold laminate that you can put on here. But I mean, the glue sealing it is fine, and they're hard and they're not like curving all crazy or anything like that. These have been sitting here for months and they've stayed flat and they look really cute. So the next thing that you're gonna do, once that's all dried and you've got your edges painted and whatnot, you're gonna go ahead and grab these little earring hooks. You're gonna grab one of those and then a little ring like that. And then, let me see. I like this little tool, this little. And you just stick that in there and it helps you open up that ring. And then you get that ring in there. Get it into that one, get it back in there like that to help you close that back up. Just want to make sure it's lined up. And that's it, just like that. And like I showed you on the other one, we did these were the little punch out holes for some of these and some of the shapes that I had done. And so you can just use that. So whatever little piece got cut out here, because what I did was I actually made these cutouts, but I could have just used the cutout from this shape right here and I could have just added 2 more holes and then did this same thing. So that would be the better thing to do rather than making a bunch of these little circles. Just use your cutouts And you can do something like that, and then you got another earring. These ones are kind of big, but I think they're still really cute. And I like the foiling on this paper. It looks really pretty. And that's another thing you can do as well, is if you get that brush on nail glue, and there's all these little foiling kits for nails and stuff, because I used to do nails back in the day, and I do it for fun for my girls now and stuff, but you get that brush on nail glue, you know, and it doesn't go smooth, right, with the brush. You'll have that, it's kind of broken up like this would be, you know, and so you put it wherever you want it, and then you grab one of those little foiling kits or whatever that have different types of foils and foil designs, and you just stick it on there wherever you want it, and that foil just comes off, and so you get this foiling technique. So that's another thing that you can do if say you have a pattern like this or something, you know, there's no foiling on it, but you wanted to add a little bit of that foiling, and the metallic paint just isn't giving that effect, right? So that's something that you can do as well, is get that brush on paint, because it dries really fast. It's going to be broken up. You're going to just put it where you need to put it with the brush, and then give it a couple seconds, let it get a little bit tacky, and then you just go on there with that foil. And I'll show you, I have a little foiling kit here as well. I just don't have the brush on nail glue right now, but just to give you an idea of the different types of foiling that is out there with these little nail kits, and these are just inexpensive ones, you know. But you can see you can have a lot of fun with that, and I wanted to add that in this video and do the foiling part of it, but I didn't get my brush on nail glue, and the super glue that I had used it just wasn't cutting it, you know what I mean? It wasn't the same consistency as the brush on nail glue, you know, that worked better. So I might do a video on that too, just kind of using this for some of this kind of jewelry stuff and whatnot, if you guys want to see something like that. But if you got paper that's already got foiling on it, it's really cute. If you wanted to add even some of the foiling with this stuff to maybe the edge instead of doing the pin, that's another option. It might not come out, it's not going to come out as clean as using the paint pen, but I mean, it's up to you. You just get creative with it and kind of do what you want to do with it. So that was just another little thing I wanted to share with you guys, to use up your scraps so they don't go to waste, and you can make something really cute out of it. And like I said, they're pretty good. They feel pretty good. This one's not, I haven't Mod Podged this one yet, and I haven't sealed all the edges just yet, but this is what they look like when they are done and the edges are sealed. So it adds a little bit of a texture to it, and it's really pretty. So even if you're not using the pattern cardstock, if there's like pretty pictures that you like say there's this really cute little painting that you like, you can cut the shape out that you want and print that little painting picture that you want, and do the same thing, glue it on both sides, and then seal your edges, and then Mod Podge it, and it gives that paint brush texture over the painting, so it'll look like you have a little mini painting, like a real little painting, and kind of give you that effect. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. I hope you go out and make some of these too. I think they're absolutely cute, and get to using those scraps so that we don't, you know, we're not wasting them. So thank you again for watching this video. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. And to those of you who have, thank you so much. I really do appreciate you. So that's it for this video. I'll catch you on the next one. Have a good one.